Well, welcome everyone. Hello, Wyoming. My name is Carmen Bowman. It's my privilege to get to work with so many of you from Wyoming. And there's so much to tell you. I have a jam-packed hour. Please forgive me. I tend to think I can cover more than I can. Does anyone else do that? And so if it's okay with you, I propose that I zoom through everything so that we can have time at the end to talk. And so feel free to put, the questions in the chat box as we go, and I'll get to them at the end. And there are three elements to this 3-year grant. And one of them is a conference that was supposed to be in person with everything happening. We chose to do it online. And hopefully you have the flyer. There's still a lot of sessions coming this whole month. We're calling it March Madness. I'll tell you more at the end. The other portion of the grant is putting on a coalition. We have a Wyoming Culture Change Coalition. If you're interested in joining the steering committee, let me know. We do some of the planning, but we also have a third element, and that is 5 nursing homes each year get more intensive coaching in culture change. So you would commit to watching a webinar each month, but also a 1-hour coaching call. And you also commit to implementing 3 culture change practices. I'll tell you more about that too. So here we go. Today's special session, as you know, is for social services. So it's really my privilege to get to be with you all. And I am going to do a lot of training about culture change, of course. And culture change, in my opinion, is still the answer. This is how I think of it. So I'm just guessing. Many of you have heard something about culture change. Many of you have heard nothing about culture change. And there's the whole gamut, right? And I'm going to tell you why I believe it's still the answer. I believe that it brings about the outcomes that we all want. Every single one. And it bums me out that this message has not gotten throughout our whole country like it could have. And we probably need your help to make that happen. And what is culture change? I do hold to those 2 words. I just do personally, because in my mind, they still explain what we're talking about. Pardon me. And we're talking about changing institutional culture. Let's face it, most people don't like it. Would you like to live in a very rigid, scheduled culture? And, even though we know this, we kind of have trouble breaking out of it. We get sucked into it, all of us. I got sucked into it as an activity director, sucked into it as a surveyor, but I've studied it now most of my career. And I love blending regulation with culture change. So my role today is to show you both, so that you're grounded in the regs and you start to learn also about culture change and how they can both happen. So a quote from our movement I love to start with is, "No longer are the needs of the institution going to come before the needs of the individual." And you could take that quote, everyone, and just start sharing it with your team. Just start somewhere. We had a speaker on Tuesday, Suzanne Queering. She suggests when you all learn something new and you learn best practice, that you flood your team with the information that you yourself are learning. Isn't that cool? So feel free to use this handout. It's in the chat box. Hopefully you can download it. If not, let me know. I'll send it to you. And you'll have stuff like this. These are also being recorded. Get more of your team to watch them or go to the ones for them, whatever works for you. And believe it or not, the regulations start to reflect this. I don't even have time to show you all of them, but there are places in the regs that start to say, is the schedule about the people who live there, or is it about the institution? That's never been in the regs before. So this is the goal. And then another way to think of it, everyone, is just keep moving the pendulum every day. Do something, say something, challenge yourselves with something, and keep chugging away a little bit by little bit away from the institutional practices. And then if you need to, go into home-like, but don't stop there. The real goal is home. And so I'm going to talk about language as we go. We don't even use home-like anymore in the culture change movement. So join us. We also don't say the word facility. If you think of the word facility, everyone, just think about it for a minute. What is a facility? What is the definition of a facility? And you can look it up right now if you want in your cameras, and your phone and your computer, right? And you will see that it does not ever say home. Isn't that interesting? The word facility does not mean home. It basically means a building. And if you think of like a school is a facility. You know why? Because nobody lives there. Isn't that ironic? So you represent places where people live. And those words are home. And you could also use the word community. So no matter what you represent, guys, Buffalo Care Center is a community unto itself. One nursing home is a community. And notice the words, they start to flow so beautifully. We don't say unit, we call them neighborhoods. And now you have the neighborhoods, and you think of these words, home, community. Sometimes in some cultures, they start using the word neighbor. The neighbors are the people who live there. Now it's a little awkward when you're not used to it, but some people on this line will talk about the neighbors and they mean the residents. And it's just the words start to flow nicely together, right? Oh, I love this, everyone. Instead of being the new admit, you would be the new neighbor. How do you like that? And then some communities like Morningstar that's on the line, they have chosen to use the word elder, another beautiful word that is very honoring. Your whole community could talk about these things such as words, and words start to change a culture as well. So all the outcomes we want, when you start to create home instead of institution, people actually want to live there. And so guess what? The more people that live there, the more money your nursing home makes. Let's just get that out of the way. When you have a full house, that's how this business makes money. Also, when you start to serve the individuals who live there on their schedule and their time frame and their wishes and their preferences and their desires, guess what? Everything becomes more efficient. And so, for instance, in the morning, if you stop waking people up, we feel like, oh my gosh, how do we do that? Well, just start to think of it as redesigned work. So, some people are going to wake up early and some are going to wake up late. And so you start to help the people who wake up early get dressed, and then someone else is woken up, and then someone else. And so you go according to their schedule. And you don't have to wake people up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And, people on the line, what it's like to wake people up, even if it's your kids or your spouse, right? Nobody likes to wake anyone up. And so it actually represents, better life, better quality of life, better work life, and it's more efficient. When you go with the people who live there instead of against, it's an easy example of being more efficient. And when we're more efficient, we basically save money. Now, guess what? People who work in this environment tend to like it better. Yes, I guess I have heard of some people who say phooey on culture change and choose to go down the street in the big city and work at the very institutional nursing home. I guess it happens, but let me tell you, I'm guessing most of you listening would much rather work in a culture that is less rigid and more flexible and more about the people who live there than the institution itself. So then if people like working there, you know what I'm going to say. We've got the retention. We have much better luck with retention, with recruitment. People are going to want to work in your home. It's so good. Those are some of the outcomes we want, right? Okay, it gets better. How about increased satisfaction? How about fewer grievances, fewer calls to the ombudsman, fewer complaints to the health department, right? Here's another simple example of culture change. We move to real things, real life, normal life. Notice the language, normal words, not institutional words. Honoring the individual and their routine, that's normal, that's home. And then another example is real food. So when people start to lose weight, what does the institution tell us to do? Slap on some supplements, right? We always feel like, oh, supplement. We feel like we're doing the right thing to hurry up and get a supplement. Do you realize they're very expensive and most people never drink the whole thing? So you're wasting a lot of money. And just for fun, how about in the chat box, everyone tell me, okay, how many of you would rather have a malt? How many of you would rather have a shake? And how many of you would rather have a smoothie? Because those cost a lot less money and they are a lot yummier than Ensure. Now, of course, there's always the outlying person who loves their Ensure. That's fine. But it's just an example of giving you real life, normal life, and people do better with it. They're going to eat more and you're going to save money. So Kelly votes for smoothie. I vote for a malt. Watch this, guys. When it's something you love, does it sound like this at the bottom for you? Here's my pencil. I'm going to pretend it's a straw. It goes like this. You ever hear that at the end of your malt or smoothie or shake? And I'm sad that it's over. Anybody else? And you don't really hear that much with an Ensure. And we have a lot of people who love shakes on the line. Okay, now another fun fact. When you create real life, normal life, that includes bringing more people to hang out with these beautiful people who live in this nursing home. And thank God we have much more open visitation. And so you're going to love this story. My daughter and I got to be a part of another grant in Colorado when she was 12. She turned 17 this week. That's her. And we got to do a youth day camp. So Wyoming, we should do some youth day camps, don't you think? You could do this in the summer, create a youth day camp. And we made it easy on ourselves. We did, like, let's say ages 8 to 13. We didn't have little ones who needed the bathroom. You can make it work for yourselves, right? And we did all sorts of different things together. And the main thing was to become, friends and learn and be together, not so much do. And look at what Maya, right there, that's Maya, said at the end. She said, "The children brought my happiness back. My depression is gone. I stopped my medication today." We use a lot of meds, social workers on the line. We don't hear stuff like that. The Zoloft brought my happiness back. My depression is gone. Now, thankfully it helps, right? But you notice the more you give real life to people, everything's better. And so I just want to put in a plug as you can, everyone, to get the community back into your community, into your nursing home. And I'll give you some quick tips. Have a coffee bar, have a coffee shop, create a gift store. Think of things that would bring the community into your community without you having to work too hard at it. Have a playground in the back for kids, have a toy chest. Think about what would make someone say, "Mom, can we go to the nursing home?" Wouldn't that be amazing? You can do it. Every single one of you. Get creative. Get the community back in. Help people to be less depressed. This is our moment, you see. And when you do, these are just a smattering of culture change practices, but I hope you get the drift that when everything's better, so is your regulatory compliance. And remember, these regs are just minimal, everyone. Minimal. You can go way beyond minimal. All right. You also see improved clinical outcomes, improved health if you eat what you want to eat when you're hungry, and eat what you're hungry, in an amount you're hungry for. When we do like open dining and buffets, and we see great outcomes. People tend to eat and finish what they take when it's what they like. And if they're really hungry or a little bit hungry, they eat the little bit or they eat the big bit. It just works for people. And we've noticed people have tracked the outcomes. You save money when you serve someone what they want. Gone should be the days of serving the whole plate of food because we're supposed to. No, you're supposed to assess and find out what someone wants. And you're supposed to care plan. Here's what they get because what they're getting is what they want. Then you also, if we stop waking people up, I'll talk about that in a minute, and people are more well rested, they're healthier, they don't fall as much, they're not as depressed. When people's preferences are not only known, but honored, choice is given, choice is honored. We know you, we know what you like, and we know what you don't like. You see this picture, everyone? Look what she's eating. Can y'all see what she's eating in the picture? Isn't that fun? How many nursing homes serve Captain Crunch that you know of? This is probably the only one that I know of. We're going to get improved quality of life, improved physical health. How about well-being? Did you know the regs call us to give highest practicable level of well-being. I'm actually going to teach you guys about that today. So notice I have so much to cover. Did you know stroking a pet reduces blood pressure? Social workers, we need you to bring that up, okay? If blood pressure is being talked about, bring up real life stuff. Don't just let meds be talked about. Bring up going outside, bring up being well rested, bring up, did you know petting a dog reduces blood pressure? You know, look at this. I once ran into a physician order that said Michael must have his dog with him wherever he lives. Do you realize we need more physician orders like that, don't we? You guys, maybe you're the ones. You could help make it happen. Did you know that when people have a bird in a cage in their room, it truly becomes a companion? And we have story after story of changing people's lives. Truly, I've seen it. I've met people hanging out in the hall who say, hey, would you like to meet my bird? And then later I find out they never used to come out. They never used to interact until the bird came along. Oh my goodness. The first story we ever heard was Dr. Bill Thomas of the Eden Alternative. A gentleman had the diagnosis failure to thrive, and they asked if they could have permission to put a bird in the room. He said yes. And, you know, at first the staff took care of the bird, but because of the bird, he started to get up and be concerned about something other than himself and care for the bird. And guess what, social work friends? He got so much better, he moved out to assisted living. You see the point here? You don't hear that about Zoloft. You don't hear that about our normal institutional practices now, do you? So I'm going to roll through some really important regulations. I want to start here with the executive summary of the new CMS regs, new 6 years ago, okay? And they say many of the quality of life improvement changes in this final rule are grounded in the concepts of person-centered care and culture change. These changes not only result in improved quality of life for the residents, they also can result in improvements in the caregiver's quality of work life, wow, and savings to the nursing home. So CMS actually said this, believe it or not. So I'm quoting the latest regs, and yes, that is the date of the latest regs. They meant to make some minor changes, but with COVID, they haven't yet. And if you don't have access to your own set of regs, I'm telling you what to put in the internet search here and just always have your own link to it, or you can look it up each time it pops up easily, or you can download it. Strong professionals know the regulations, and surveyors hold you accountable to these regs. And you never don't want to know what a reg says, because a surveyor might say, this is what it says, and they might be wrong. And you're being held accountable. So guess what? You should probably know them. So I'm going to start with just one definition first that is really profound and powerful. There's lots of definitions. This is just one of them. So CMS has defined person-centered care, that it means to focus on the resident as the locus of control and support the resident in making their own choices and having control over their daily lives. Oh my gosh, social work friends, do you see how powerful that is? And if that's not happening in your building, it's supposed to be. And guess what? I think that definition is not a definition of care. Check it out. To focus on the resident as the locus of control and support the resident in making their own choices and having control over their daily lives, to me, that's almost like a definition of life. You see, we got to talk more about the life that people are living more than the care that they're just receiving. That's what gets all the attention. And life seems to get forgotten. And that's why there's a culture change movement. By the way, the language person-centered care is outdated. It was outdated the minute that CMS actually printed this in 2016. And we already, in the culture change movement, we're talking about person-directed. Notice person-centered is good. It's better than not person-centered, right? Better than generic care, right? But person-directed is what we really want. Even with the dementia, we're supposed to know people. We're supposed to know how to read them, know what they're telling us, even if it's not with words, right? And so I'll just share a lot more about words as we go. All right, I want to cover some resident right regs, your nursing home must treat each resident with respect and dignity and care in a manner and in an environment that promotes maintenance or enhancement of his or her quality of life, yay, recognizing each resident's individuality. That is a strong, long sentence, isn't it? Respect and dignity, quality of life, individuality. So we're not supposed to treat people the same. Like, here's a common example. We check and change everyone every 2 hours. That has nothing to do with someone's individuality. That's called generic care. We're supposed to give individualized care. Some people might never need to be checked, right? Some people might need to be checked more often, and some people might need to be checked less often. That's how it's supposed to go. All right, then we have, look at this, social workers. Oh boy. The nursing home must protect and promote the rights of the residents. Do you realize that was never stated before? And only because I've interacted with regulations quite a bit my whole career, I sense that CMS is saying something here between the lines, basically. Think about it. It's sort of like, hey, nursing homes, you're good at posting the resident rights, because we are. You're good at passing them out, because we are. And you're good at reviewing one right every resident council, because we are, right? But we're not great at bringing it up, like initiating. Hey, I don't think we should make Mrs. Smith eat that pureed diet that she hates. We need to figure this out. We got to protect and promote her right not to eat it. And instead, we're going to help mitigate risk by figuring out what to do in the middle. By the way, that's often what they call regular foods finely chopped, and increasing the variety of foods that are naturally pureed. We forget about guacamole and refried beans and bisque soups and egg souffles. Pureed diet could be very good, actually, but it's not known for that, particularly in a nursing home. And so we should be the ones protecting and promoting. Similarly, now, this is speaking to family members. The residents' wishes and preferences must be considered in the exercise of rights by the representative. Now, even if there's a family listening to this, here's the thing, everyone. We cannot say what we want, okay? A family member should not be focused on what they want for mom. They should be focused on what mom would want for herself. And we too, as a professional, I recommend all of you, please don't ever ask a family member anymore what they want. Just think of it as reframing. We got to all reframe ourselves onto the person. Hey, daughter, what would your mom say she wants? How did your mom live with her high blood pressure her whole life? How did she live with her diabetes? What would she say about her incontinence? You know, if the person can't speak for themselves, have the family member speak for the person. That's just so key, and actually not that hard. We just have to reframe how we ask. Then we have this next beautiful right, the right to be informed of risks and benefits of proposed care. This pureed diet might prevent you from choking, but you might hate it, and you might not eat it, and you might not enjoy your meals, and you might lose weight, and then you might have pressure ulcers, and then you might have this bad thing and that bad thing. You see, our job is to give all risks and benefits, regardless of what our preference is. And look how it goes on here, everybody. Everybody watch for choice words. Look how many there are. Okay, risks and benefits of proposed care, of treatment and treatment alternatives or treatment options, and to choose the alternative or option he or she prefers. Isn't that great? That is right out of our culture change movement. I am proud of that right there. That was not in the regs before. So as social workers, you're the ones that can help teams always do both. Okay, wait. Have we talked about the risks, but have we talked about the benefits? Every single choice has both. And guess who gets to decide? The person. Get as close to the person as you can. Why? Because look, here's the next right. Residents have the right to request, refuse, and or discontinue treatment. This used to say the right to refuse treatment, and it felt so strong, right? And I sort of miss it, but this is actually stronger, isn't it? Not only do they have the right to refuse, they also have the right to request, and then they also have the right to discontinue, even if they did request it. Isn't that wonderful? I hope you all know that. I hope your teams know that. Now moving on to self-determination. Residents have the right to choose. We could just stop right there, ponder that. There it is again. It's supposed to be about the individual, not the institution. The right to choose activities, schedules, including sleeping and waking times. Choose healthcare and providers of healthcare consistent with a person's interests, assessments, and care plan. And I need everyone to mute, please, if you can hear me. It happens that someone is not muted. Ah, there we go. So, social workers, you could become champions for this. Do people really have the right to choose these things in your culture? Forgive me, I'm trying to find it. Hey, everybody, can you mute yourselves, please? There we go. And I believe the strongest part to focus on there is schedules, the right to choose schedules, because that's usually not happening. And yet the regulation here holds your nursing home accountable for that to be happening. Okay, let's jump to that next bullet, the right to make choices about aspects of his or her life that are significant to them. I'd love to hear from you guys in the chat box. What if that was you? Hey, you. Hey, Kate. Hey, Mark. You have the right to make choices about aspects of your life that are significant to you. What would it be? For me, I have a hard time choosing. So I got to tell you too, it would be going outside and sleeping until I wake up. Those are top for me. What would your thing be? And that is what you could start to ask people who live where you work. And now let's go back to that in parentheses there, including sleeping and waking times. I want to teach you all something. Ready? When it comes to sleep, what is true choice? Everyone think, when it comes to sleep, what is true choice? Guess what? It's not being asked, when do you want to get up? Believe it or not, true choice when it comes to sleep is when your body decides it's had enough sleep. Isn't that wonderful? How many of you love to sleep? Anybody? I do. How many of you would rather be sleeping right now? I would, no offense, and I'm not offended if you'd rather be sleeping. How is it? Someone tell me in the chat box, how do you feel when you don't have to set your alarm clock? How would you define it? Wow, look at you all. You are like me. So look at that. Carrie says, what would be important is sleep schedule. Rachel says sleep and wake schedules, definitely. And Julie says sleeping in. Yep. So then how do you feel when you don't have to set your alarm clock? Erica says relaxed. Rachel says relieved and like I can get quality rest. Me too, Rachel. You guys, I'm so weird. I feel giddy almost. Does anyone get to that point? Like, oh, I'm so happy. I do not have to set my alarm. And Erica says not pressured. And I don't know what this emoji is. I'm sorry. Is it just a happy party face? Sam? Okay, Brittany says, how would you address if a POA wishes to continue a modified diet when a neighbor desires to progress to a pleasure diet and comfort care? Well, social workers on the line, you know the answer. And Brittany, here's the thing, guys. Here's what we forget. A power of attorney actually only goes into effect when a judge has deemed someone incompetent. And guess what? We rarely go that far, and we tend to give POAs too much power too soon, everyone, especially if you have a person who is telling you they desire to have a pleasure diet and comfort care. So there you go. Think on that, talk about that. And everyone, what is it like to wake people up? How many of you have had to wake people up who live in nursing homes? And what's it like? And if you have not had to do that, what's it like to wake up your kids, wake up your teenager, wake up someone, anyone? What's it like to wake someone up? Give me some words. And how do you feel about it? And this is what we invite people to come do. Come work at the nursing home, the institutional nursing home. Come do some really hard care. Oh, and by the way, you get to wake people up that don't want to get up. Rachel, it's stressful for all parties involved. Yes, that's right. And Kelly says, we set the mood for the day and the way the elder feels for the entire day when we wake them up. Ooh, Kelly, I'm going to quote you. Kelly, you're good at this. So wouldn't it be cool if you stopped waking people up? I think so. Let's just think about the benefits of being well rested. Okay. If we were together, I'd have you shout them out. But people are less depressed, social workers, less anxious, social workers. If you don't start talking about something, you know, if you talk about nothing else than sleep, you'll be doing marvelous. Because look, all the outcomes are there again, more alert, more energy. For heaven's sake, our immune system builds, our protein synthesizes, our tissue repairs itself, our muscles grow. Are you kidding me? We're sharper, better cognition. We don't have as many, quote, we don't call them behaviors anymore, but what we used to call behaviors, or like behavioral expressions. I'm mad because you woke me up. Hello, wouldn't you be? So then we have better mood. Did you know, everyone, you could be a champion for fewer falls by promoting sleep. It translates into all these things. Everything is better. Think about it. Your skin, not your skin, your cells rejuvenate. Do you realize we're healing when we sleep? And we have old people, we have sick people, we have disabled people. You've got to be kidding me. And we're known as the primary place to disrupt your sleep. That's what nursing homes are known for, but you don't have to do that. So why do we even do it? Why? What is the reason we wake people up, everybody? What would you say? I'm looking for one word. What is the reason we wake people up in the morning in most every nursing home in America? Who knows the one word? Okay, that's funny. Schedule, Patty says. Good word, Patty. Meds, Julie says. Smart Julie. Meds and appointments, says Kelly. Brittany, institutional schedules. Believe it or not, this doesn't mean they're wrong. I was looking for the word. Carrie says food. I'm looking for the word breakfast. How about that? That's right. Convenient. Sam, breakfast. Yes. So we're all right, but notice it's some arbitrary breakfast time, basically, that forces the schedule to begin, right? We all set it in a different way. So now think about who even set that breakfast time where you work. Who set that time? And I think that probably you guys don't even know who said it, is my theory. I'd love for you to tell me. Yep, Erica says certainly not the residents. Oh, Erica, you guys are great. This is the point. The people who live there had nothing to do with that breakfast time. It's probably some arbitrary time somebody picked 10 years ago, is my guess, or more, right? And that's the point. It wasn't chosen by the people who actually live there. Isn't that sad? And this is their experience, everyone. We teach people learned helplessness, social workers. Get this ready, learned helplessness. Everybody. The CNA knows that you, the resident, let's say, doesn't want to get up. The CNA knows she doesn't want me to wake her up. She gets angry. What do I do? What do I do? Do I not wake her up? Or do I wake her up? And the poor CNA learns to be helpless. If I go ask the nurse, should I let her sleep? The nurse will say, she's got to go to breakfast. It's not the nurse's fault. I'm not blaming nurses. I'm never blaming anybody. It's the institutional way. The institution wins, you guys. It's sad. The institution says she must get up for breakfast, right? Translates to the nurse, translates to the CNA. Learn helplessness. I guess I got to get her up. I have no choice. Sad. And now learned helplessness is passed on to the person. they learn, well, I guess I don't have much choice. I got to let them get me up, let them take me to breakfast. They wait like this in the hall or at the mealtime, right? Slumped over, hurry up and wait. And then if I just eat a couple bites of toast and drink a little bit of coffee, then they'll let me go back where? Somebody tell me. Then they'll let me go back to what? You can unmute yourselves too. I don't care. Thank you. Bed. And do you all see? That is a royal waste of time. Royal. You want to save money, guys? Serve and mold and cater to those who live there. You don't live there. We act like it's all about us. We don't even live there. They live there. So, take baby steps, be an advocate, bring this up, quote the regs, show the pictures, make copies of the handout. And the other answer is to start doing open dining. Let me tell you a little bit about this. It's easier than you might believe. So first of all, that arbitrary breakfast time, guess what? There was no choice. If residents didn't choose, guess what? Surveyors should cite us. There was no choice in mealtime. Residents didn't choose the mealtime. And then see, when you have open times, let's say a 2-hour window, there is choice. Hallelujah, right? But when there's not, it's like bad outcomes. Look at the bad outcomes that we've created. Let's see, the night shift has a list. It's called the get up list. Your name could be on it. And we get you up before our shift is over because it's all about the shift instead of the people who live here. Whether you're awake or not, I'm getting you up, right? Oh, so sad. And then probably there's the put down list, and maybe you're on both. Wouldn't that be cool? I'm a get up and I'm a put down. I'm just making fun of the weird language. And then how many of us don't even eat breakfast? So everyone get ready. Even if you don't eat breakfast now, but you lived in a nursing home, what would happen to you? Somebody tell me. You can unmute yourselves if you want, or you can do it in the chat box.
They'd make me go to breakfast.
That's right. That's right, Brittany. That's right. Girl, yep. I like thinking of it as this. Some people answer it like this. Oh, you would eat breakfast, right? The institution would make us. That's right, Max. I would be taken to breakfast. Yep. Kelly says I'd be monitored for weight loss. Yep. And my point here is learned helplessness again, and a royal waste of time, and not efficient, and less satisfaction. See? So now I want you all to realize that when you give choice, you are now compliant with those regulations that I just showed you better than ever before. Nobody talks about that. Everyone just brings up, oh, we can't. There's this 14-hour rule. I should have put the regulatory language in here. I apologize, guys. And I got to make a note to put the 14-hour rule language on a slide for the dining teams next week. Sorry. Erica says, I would be given meds to control my behaviors. That's right, you would. Isn't that sad, guys? So choice, choice, choice. The opportunity to make choice about schedules, choice about things that are important to me. Please join me, guys. Nobody's talking about, those are the regs that we need to be compliant with. Now, here's the 14-hour deal, okay? When someone says we can't do that, there's a 14-hour rule. So you could look it up, and I can help you if you need it. Go get your own set of the regs, like I told you. Look up 14-hour, and then it'll take you right there, okay? And it should have been memorized by all of us for 20 years now or more as the 16-hour rule. Why? Because it goes something like this. No more than 14 hours shall elapse from supper time to breakfast time the next day, unless a resident group agrees and a nourishing snack is provided, then you can go 16 hours. Isn't that something? Why don't we learn it the better way? Plus, you guys, don't even worry about 14 or 16. Here's why. When you start to do open dining, think about the last part of supper to the beginning of breakfast, and you do the math, you count. It's always within 14 hours. I've done all sorts of scenarios, okay? So now you're offering choice, eat when you want, and you're meeting that requirement that there is 14 hours in between supper and breakfast. Isn't that cool? And it's better than it ever was before because people actually have choice. Now, here's the other cool thing. It has all the outcomes, once again, that we want. We want people to look good. We want them to get their teeth brushed and the hair brushed. And guess what? When CNAs don't have to get everyone there at the same time, they have time to give the good care they really want to give. And then think about this, okay? Hurry, 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 hurry. Get everyone in the dining room, 7:30, here they are. Here they are. Can you serve everyone at the very same moment in time? It's so silly. So here's all your people, and they have to hurry up once again and wait. And when they fall asleep at the table and we try to help them eat, guess what? That is unsafe. Don't we talk a lot about things that are unsafe? That is unsafe. Trying to help somebody eat who is not really awake. Okay, I got to move on real quick. If your breakfast is at 7:30, whatever time, start talking to your team about this. Let's not say breakfast is at 7:30. Let's say instead breakfast is served between 7:30 and 8:30. See, that's where the win is, to start opening up. If you come at 8:30, you will get your breakfast. Don't you worry about it. All right, now, did you know a resident right is that your nursing home must consider the views of a resident or family group and act promptly upon grievances and recommendations of such groups concerning issues of resident care and life. That's so good in this nursing home. So hang on to that care and life. Nobody talks about that. And one of the practices that we've highlighted in this project, there's a free webinar about community meetings. It's just an example of how to do that well, how to have that resident meeting and act upon anything that's not going well and take recommendations. And it's called a daily community meeting. Around the country, we have residents with staff together as a community, getting to know each other, celebrating birthdays, having fun, but also talking about budget decisions. Wow, which products to purchase? Wow, which juice to buy? How much does this one cost? One time during a survey, the resident council president told the surveyor, we actually run this place. Do you realize if your residents told that to surveyors, your surveys would go faster? They really would. I was one. Surveyors just want to go home. They want to check, check, check. Everything's great. Let's go home. Like anybody. It's so great. And now they found out, this is years ago, but when they were doing daily community meetings, it's Monday through Friday, when they went to go have their monthly resident council, guess what there was to talk about? Nothing, because they're dealing with issues every day. It's so good. It's taught me that once a month meetings are too far out, everyone. Don't do it. Start backing up. Do every 2 weeks or every 1 week. Maybe get to daily. And if a grievance is filled out internally, let's say yesterday, the content of the grievance is brought to the daily community meeting today. And again, that's dealing with stuff in real time. I don't really have time to go into language. I love language. There's a free webinar, and just take this with you if you want, and let me know if you want more. I have a handout. Whew. And highest practicable level of well-being is something I really want you guys to know about. It's all over the regulations. It's usually the last part of every reg that we are supposed to help someone reach. Usually it's attain or maintain the resident's highest practicable. And then here is where it's also very strong at tag 655, comprehensive person-centered care planning. Look at this. The care plan must describe the following: the services that are to be furnished to attain or maintain the resident's highest practicable physical, mental, and psychosocial well-being. So all three, everyone, these don't get talked about much. They're not in the care plan like they should be. And surveyors aren't citing it either, but I would recommend you follow the reg, because a surveyor could cite it. Wait till I show you something else. So look at the word inside of the word, practicable. We don't say that word very often. It's not practical. Your mouth is going to want to say practical, but the word is really practicable. In fact, if you would with me, say it after me. I can't hear you, but try it. Practicable. And then notice the word within the word. It helps people to learn this. What is someone truly able to do? Innate capability based solely on the individual's abilities, their limitations, their potential, independent of external limitations. Practical is the opposite. It's capability only based on resources available. So when we say things like, oh, we don't have time to help them walk to the dining room, or we don't have time to wait for her to feed herself, that's it. They're supposed to do what they're able to do. And sadly, I don't really have time to show you this fabulous. Please forgive, I don't know what to do. This is on a recording. I'd really love for y'all to see it. I interview a man kind of raw. What I mean is, I've never done this before. And he kept telling me, I really don't know what you mean. And that's kind of my point. But I want you all, if I could, like, be your teacher, start talking to residents. And you would say, hey, John, there's this concept, you know, and you explain it, highest practicable. What do you think your highest practicable physical well-being is? And John says, I can walk. And I say, well, are people helping you to walk as much as you want to? And he says, no, it's pretty common. So there it is. What's your highest practicable mental well-being? This man happened to be an inventor, and he had an idea to invent a new pendant. Can you believe it? That's highest practicable mental well-being. So we talked about pursuing his invention idea. Wow. It could be much simpler than that, of course, depending on the person. Every person is equal, no matter what their highest practicable is, right? And then psychosocial, it took a minute. He's like, I don't know how to answer that. And together we realized he feels out of place because he's younger than most of the other people at the nursing home. And he figured he's 20 years younger than most. And so he kind of yearned to be with people his own age. So I encourage you all to just dive into this. So yes, there is a handout, and I uploaded it in the chat box, but sometimes people can't download it. Maybe it's too big. If you guys want to email me, I'll ship it over to you. And this will be posted on the Mountain Pacific website soon. Now, look at this. Did you know that CMS definition of actual harm includes not reaching highest practicable? So let's look at this. Actual harm that is not immediate jeopardy, which is severity level 3. So level 3 indicates noncompliance that results in actual harm and can include, but may not be limited to, clinical compromise, decline, or, so hold on, we tend to be better at, seeing clinical compromise, right? Someone can't do something they used to, or the pressure sore happened, or it got worse. So compromise and decline we can usually see, but look at this. Or the resident's inability to maintain and or reach their highest practicable well-being. So for instance, if a surveyor could show that this person can actually feed themselves and the team members are doing the feeding, that would be actual harm. Isn't that amazing? And social workers, we need your help to teach your teams that that's true. I also want to show all of you the quality of life reg. Quality of life is a fundamental principle that applies to all care and services provided to residents. So fundamental principle, that's new. Notice there it is again, to attain or maintain highest practicable. And then looking down here, non-compliance identifies outcomes which rise to the level of immediate jeopardy and reflect an environment of pervasive disregard for the quality of life of residents. This can include the cumulative effect of non-compliance at other regulatory tags on one or more residents. So I'm sure none of your homes are to that degree, but this is new language that if there's pervasive disregard for quality of life, it could be immediate jeopardy. That had never said that before. So I'd love to challenge all of you with this. Think about this, okay? The nursing regulations, who do they go to? The nursing team. In culture change, we don't say department, by the way. Very institutional. Team is a strong word, right? The activities regulations, who do they go to? Your activity team. We use a lot of different words than activities as well. The dining and food and nutrition regs, who do they go to? Your dining team, right? Social services, there's lots of you on today. Those regulations, who's in charge of them? You guys. Ready? Who gets the quality of life regs? Who do they go to? And I sincerely mean it. Who do they really go to? And I contend they go to nobody. And I wonder if that's some of the problem of institutional life. See, all the other regs, someone's reading them. Someone knows they're in charge of that. But quality of life, we don't have a department or a quality of life team. And so they don't go anywhere. So I'd love to invite all of you to talk about that. Think about that. Who should be in charge of that? Who should be reading the quality of life regs? It's got to be somebody. And don't just say, oh, we're all in charge of quality of life, because guess what? That's not cutting it. It's not happening that way. So if you take more of initiation, maybe what I might recommend is that your activities and social services start to work together, being really intentionally as a quality of life team. And you guys could fly, go places. One more reg, look at this. I haven't even shown you the regulation for activities, but under intent, I just want you all to be aware of this. This is new and wonderful. So on the right, these are the Eden Alternative Domains of Wellbeing. There's 7 of them. That's a free white paper. Go get it. And under the intent of this reg, it says to create opportunities for each resident to have a meaningful life by supporting his or her domains of well-being, security, autonomy, growth, connectedness, identity, joy, and meaning. Let's just look at them again. What if you start asking people, Mr. Smith, what would you say your identity really is? Do we even know? We don't want to learn something at the funeral that we didn't know about you. What does security mean to you, Mr. Jones? You know, go through all these. What does meaning mean to you? How do you get meaning in your life? Are you feeling connected or disconnected? How can we help you connect to people? Did you know, guys, even at all ages, we're supposed to be growing. Nobody talks about this. Nobody talks about how to keep growing at age 100. And then, how would you like to ask people what brings you joy and start to care plan these 7 very important things? See, we do care planning, right? Those pictures sort of indicate a good care plan. There's the meds, there's the getting dressed, there's all the ADLs, but what for? What if that was just to support life, quality of life? What do you want to do with your day? I want to go watch the birds. Isn't that cool? So I invite you to join our coalition. We're trying to make the shift in Wyoming. We need your help. We have big goals like to boldly go where no state has gone before. Come on, Wyoming. We have lots of information at the Mountain Pacific website. Just look up Wyoming Culture Change Coalition. We want to thank your state survey agency for saying yes to this grant. And I want to invite you, March 25th is our last monthly webinar for the year. And you get to hear from the homes that have been involved in this project, that have done culture change. They've implemented practices. Star Valley, South Lincoln, Granite, we're in it for the whole year. Life Care of Casper and Wyoming Retirement, you guys are on the line. They joined midway. They're going to share with you what they're already working on. And by the way, I need 3 new homes and I don't have them. And it's March. And contact me if you have any interest. I could talk to your team. I could tell them about it. It'd be great. And then here's the calendar, everyone. So next week on Tuesday is one of our conference sessions. It's going to be about valuing and engaging team members. Then next week, invite your therapy team, your nursing team, and environmental services to join me for a special session like this. And then the month goes on. But let me just get done. We have 2 big goals for your state. And aren't these great? That every person working in a nursing home learns about culture change. And every person who lives in a Wyoming nursing home does not get woken up. Isn't that great? I'm going to be so proud. We use the artifacts of culture change measurement tool in the project. You too could use it. There's the link. I can tell you more about that if you want to know. There's actually free webinars about that tool early last year. And then this is the place where Mountain Pacific has all the webinars housed and their handouts. So I want to just do some takeaways and then please ask me some questions, okay? What if, as social service teams, you took on, hey, residents, when would you really like to eat? What if you brought up choice? What if you shared the regulations on choice and just started educating your team about all these great, good regs that honor choice? If you live there, wouldn't you appreciate that? And then to be brave and start calling out, where do we not give choice? And to not be afraid of it. We got to just start talking about it, right? And maybe bring up language. That's a fun thing to work on, changing language. You can laugh at the language, make fun of yourselves. You know, think of toileting, everyone. Oh, she can toilet herself. Really? Do any of us say that in real life? Do any of you ever say, I can toilet myself? Can you toilet yourself? That is the most ridiculous, downgrading thing I've ever heard. People use the restroom and the bathroom in real life. Please help. You know, that's just one of many. And then all the things I've talked about, educate people, highest practicable, talk about life and living more than care, the 7 domains of well-being. And here I want to show you the language. Watch, independent, what's it called? Living. Assisted what? Living. Then what it's when you need more care, what's it called? Long-term care. Look at this, everyone. Where did the living go? It even left the title of what we call these places. So person-centered care, I told you, moved to person-directed and resident-directed a long time ago. However, we often don't even bring up the word care, and we're trying to talk more about the life and living. So you've heard resident-directed life or resident-directed living. Another way to say it is self-directed living. You and I are self-directing our lives right now, and we're going to want to do that no matter how old we get. Look at this. It would be nice if when a person moves into a nursing home, they ask him or her, how do you want to live? And not just all that medical stuff. So let's see. I want to see if I have a question here. How can we apply to be one of the homes? Yay! Well, there is it's kind of an application, but it's really just filling out the artifacts tool. And if you email me, I'll send it right to you, Rachel. My email's right there on this last slide. So I'd love to invite each of you to be a leader for life and quality of life. Maybe start a quality of life team. Get to what really matters to people who live there. Help increase their opportunities to make decisions, budget, flow, juice decisions. You know, whatever is in your purview. What can you start to make happen? Maybe talk about animals and getting outside more and getting the community coming to you and you going into the community more. It's all about really real life. So sorry. Once again, I put too much in there. What do you want to know more about? What questions do you have? You can unmute yourselves too. I'd love to hear anything anybody has to add or ask.
Hey, Carmen, it's just Kelly. I just wanted to maybe let the other nursing home know if they haven't started the open dining, it is harder on the elders to transition to that.
Hang on, it's harder for elders to transition to open dining?
Yeah, because they're used to that schedule, and so when you open it up to open dining, they still want to go down, and it does take some time.
Yeah, that's very true, Kelly. Thank you. Thanks, Kelly. I love that. You bring up a lot of true facts because you guys have done this stuff. So I will just add to that, everyone. Typically, people become institutionalized, all of us that work there and live there. And our bodies get kind of used to the routine we've been given. You know, let's say you stop waking people up. I've heard that their bodies will probably continue to wake up when you were waking them up for weeks. So thank you, Kelly. Everyone, remember, it takes time for the body to get back to its own circadian rhythm. And it takes time for people to get used to, like, you could actually have a choice. They're not used to it. Thank you. Good point. Anybody else? Anything to add or ask?
This was really great. Carmen, this is Rachel. I'm with Polaris Healthcare here in Cheyenne. We are really working to make some huge culture changes, and this just brought so much joy and inspiration to me, and I'm so excited to discuss this with the other management team tomorrow during our meeting, and I'm excited to talk more about being part of this bigger change.
Good. Do it, Rachel. Come on. I'm happy to work with you. I could use you, and I bet your team, oh, look at that. She's already emailed me. Great. Great. Anybody else? This has been so much fun. Hey, right on time. Well, Wyoming, I'll see you on the next one. You're all welcome to all of them. And please get the word out for your other teammates. Thank you so much.
Bye, Carmen.
Yep. Bye, Patty. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Alexis.
Nice to meet you too.
Bye, Brittany and friends. Bye, Kate. Bye, Jolene. Bye, Sam. Bye, Eric. Bye, Susan. Bye, Kate.